Hi, I'm Shirella. When something bad happens in your life, what is your thing that you go to make everything better? Think about that just for a second. What is your go to? Well, Russell M. Nelson says, joy has little to do with the circumstances of our life and everything to do with the focus of our lives. So think about when something bad happens, that's a circumstance. And then whatever you do to make it okay, do you think that's the right answer for making it okay, whatever that circumstance that happened? Do you think that was the right thing to do? Well, the reason why I suggest this is because I have been taught by therapists and other people that when you have problems, to find something to go to, like, for example, exercise, just work it off, just go and do something, really get that energy out, or just really go within and meditate, just quiet yourself and meditate, or breath work, breathe in, hold it, breathe out, hold it, breathe in, some kind of breath, going out into the sunshine and letting the sun make everything okay, supplements that you might take that increase your serotonin or something like that makes your mood better, reaching out to friends who are going to help you. Eating can be a big one because eating always makes you happy, right? Unless it's gross. Sleeping, to just kind of sleep away your troubles. Music, there's so many types of music that you can go to that might make you feel better, make everything bad turn good. Or even think about movies, how we might lose ourselves in a good movie or a good book. So imagine my surprise when someone said, well, those are coping mechanisms. And I was like, what? I thought that's what we're supposed to do to get out of that thing that's making us feel bad. And that person said, well, then you're in continual coping mechanisms. So my jaw dropped and I'm thinking, so what do you do? So I started to ponder this. One of my favorite scriptures is Philippians 4:13, and it says, I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. So is turning to Christ a coping mechanism? Yikes, I don't know. Because basically what we're doing is we are all these things we are depending on an outside circumstance to make things okay instead of having a focus to turn to. So if you're turning to Christ as that coping mechanism, if it's an external kind of a thing, you're thinking maybe that he can just make it all better, which I believe he can, but maybe it's the focus that whatever this bad thing that is happening, maybe is actually in your best interest. Maybe it's according to the perfect plan that's happening for you right now. Maybe that internal focus can be that you can find gratitude in the thing that's happening. Can you see that difference between the circumstance that seems unavoidable, something we can't stop, something that's there to annoy us, frustrate us, stop us, or with that focus being on Christ, you actually go inward towards love and forgiveness and gratitude. Well, something that I think about often is that it's easy, especially in the American culture, to go to external accomplishment and success to feel like you're worthy, to kind of identify yourself. And I would say that that's a coping mechanism. I remember watching a movie about Elvis that came out 2022, maybe. I'm just guessing. And at the end of this movie, Elvis says, okay, this is going to be kind of a spoiler, but he says, I'm afraid that nobody's going to remember me. So his external circumstance was that he didn't think he had done enough that people were going to actually remember him. And who doesn't know Elvis? Even my 16-year-old daughter's like, of course I know who Elvis is. So even Elvis couldn't find a circumstance outside him enough that was going to make him feel like he was enough. That external circumstance was not going to be enough, which made me think, okay, we have this drive to try to accomplish and to do and to succeed, but is that really the thing that's going to make everything okay? Or is it just a coping mechanism? So back to the idea of focusing on Christ, an internal motivator. Well, if you find yourself embarrassed or uncomfortable, How can the thing that's happening with a focus on Christ actually be okay? That you can face your fears or whatever's happening. How about if you think something's not working, you can have the internal focus of faith that everything is working. You could ask yourself the question, how is this the best thing that has ever happened to me? Even this bad thing that makes you want to go to the external coping mechanisms, how could this thing actually be good? Or letting go of control. I surrender this to God. I surrender this to the Christ that can make everything better as my internal focus. And if you're not feeling energized to do something, or you don't feel like you have the strength to do something, you can go to that scripture, Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. And if it doesn't strengthen you, it's like an external motivator that's not working, then it's probably not through Christ. It's probably not what Christ would have you do. It's not just that he will make everything possible, that you can have all the strength that you need to do everything. It might mean that that's not the right thing for you to have as a circumstance, and you need to have a better focus to be able to know really what that thing would be that you should be doing or not doing based upon the strength that Christ gives you. And again, with Christ, he helps you feel the gratitude and the blessings, which are an internal focus. Think about people at Auschwitz and other places in the World War II concentration camps who, there's all these movies and books that are based upon people who are in the worst of circumstances. And they were able to find themselves blessed and grateful. And even in the midst of severe malnourishment and severe brutal beatings and just a terrible way of life, they could find that internal focus of joy and gratitude. How about you? Where do you go to, and how could you be maybe codependent on Christ? Is that okay? I'm going to say the disclaimer that you still need to be yourself. You still need to be who you are. But I am saying that to be codependent on Christ means that when something does seem to go bad and you need something to focus on, you can go inside and know that Christ is your strength. That's what I hope for you. That's what I hope for me, as an internal focus of Christ with God as my strength. If you like this kind of stuff, you might like my program. It's a 91-day app-based program on self-care, as we've been talking about, eating better, moving your body more so you can be your very best self. Go to www.honeydewhealthin91.com.